So something happened this week that really could have, or maybe even should have, killed us both.
And we are so grateful to God for his protection.
Absolutely. Well, hey everybody, I'm Bill.
And I'm Elizabeth. Live simple.
Live free. And yes, indeed, something happened this week that really possibly could have killed us both.
I don't think I have ever heard that kind of fear in Bill's voice before.
Yeah.
Ever.
So we headed back to Virginia. As you can see, we're now in Virginia this week, and it should have been an easy 2-day trip. We like to break it up and spend a night halfway.
It's easier on me.
Yeah.
And we also were careful to leave plenty early because our grandson's graduation is this week.
Right.
So we left like 4 days before his graduation, just in case.
So we were driving through central Georgia, and there's no interstates in that area. It's all very rural, small roads, small country roads. And the towns are about 15 or 20 miles apart, and there's not much room, or not much in between them, just a few farmhouses and a few farms and lots of woods.
It's very pretty.
Yeah, and it's a nice drive. It's not the high, pressure of the interstate. So we have been driving for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So we came into a small town in Georgia, central Georgia, called Hazelhurst. And we came up to a stop sign, to a red light, so we stopped, and it was the first time in 45 minutes we had stopped. Yeah. All of a sudden we smelled gasoline, like strong.
Like strong, we smelled gasoline.
Yeah.
Both of us did.
And I thought, man, what did somebody spill a gas can or something like that in the area?
Yeah.
I was a little concerned, but I didn't know what it was. So light turned green. I drove another block, and I could still smell the gas.
Which we thought by then if it was on the road somewhere, we should have been out of it.
So I pulled over very quickly into a parking lot that was there, and I climbed out and to start to see what I could find. And in the back, I had only been stopped for about 10 seconds, and already there was a gas puddle about this big on the ground underneath of the car, and growing. It was just, I looked down underneath, and the gas was just streaming, not dripping, streaming out of the bottom of the gas tank, and dripping right onto the hot exhaust pipe. It scared me to death. I yelled at her, "Get out now!"
Well, I mean, gas is so explosive. I don't know what would have been more likely, a fire or an explosion. I just can't believe that it was dripping on that like that. We hightailed it out of the car as fast as we could and got a good distance away and started calling for help.
So I reached in and shut off the engine.
Yes.
And about 2 or 3 minutes later, it stopped dripping. So I figured, well, maybe it's a broken gas line, and when I turned the engine off, it turned off the fuel pump, so it stopped dripping. But I still didn't. I mean, it would still run, but there was no way I was going to trust it.
No, we didn't want to start the engine again.
And we had driven probably 60 or 70 miles since the last fill up. So I should have had like 3/4 of a tank. And I looked at the gas gauge, and it was at 1/4 of a tank. Which means that in the past 20 miles where we were driving since the last town where we had stopped, we lost fully half of a tank of gas dripping out of that thing and onto the exhaust pipe. That's where it dawned on me what could have happened. And, we follow a channel called the Travel Beans.
Yeah.
And they had a similar situation. They never found out what caused the fire, but they were driving down the highway. She was driving, and they started seeing smoke coming out from the wheel wells up underneath. So he told her to pull over, and he got out to see. He was thinking maybe it was burning brake pads or something. And he got out, and there was flame just coming out from underneath of underneath the van and under the wheel well. So he started yelling to her, "Get out, Em, get out now." And he said within about 10 or 15 seconds, this happened. And he said that the flames were so big, so fast, that he couldn't even tell whether she had gotten out the other side, and he was terrified.
Oh, my goodness.
And eventually they ended up obviously just burning, just losing the entire van. It burned right down to the chassis.
So hot and intense.
And that happened not too long ago, and I had just seen that video, and I could just see us dealing with the same thing where the car would just explode and she hadn't gotten out yet. Scared me to death. So anyway, we got out safely. It stopped dripping, And it was 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and we were in the parking lot of a pawn shop.
Yeah, with a really nice owner.
Yeah, and it was hot.
Oh,
and we went in there, and it was air conditioned. It was so nice. But anyway, I started calling our roadside assistance.
And the guy got me a chair because I'd been standing for a long time out there in the heat.
And it was a small town, and most of the mechanic shops in the area closed at 5, and it was like 5 after 5.
Of course.
Our roadside assistants found one that was open until 7. So we got a tow truck in there, and here's the amazing thing. Where we broke down, we were 1 block away from a hotel.
Yeah.
And 3 blocks away from the mechanic.
Incredible.
And when they asked, will it still start? I said, yeah, it'll still start and drive. And they said, well, why don't you just drive it down there to the mechanic? It's only 3 blocks away. What, are you crazy with gasoline dripping on the exhaust pipe? There's no way.
No.
So we got the tow truck to come in. And of course, we also had our little trailer too with our motorcycle on it. So the tow truck it was a flatbed, and he put our car up on top of the flatbed, and as he lifted it up, it started pouring gas again, and it poured all over his flatbed, just kept coming. And then he hooked up our little trailer, and he took it down to the shop.
In the meantime, by the way, I walked down to the hotel.
Yeah, she wasn't involved in all that. She just walked over to the hotel, where we ended up spending a couple nights. So, what happened? Why was there gas pouring out of the gas tank like that? So here's what happened. So this is the utility trailer that I use to take my motorcycle back and forth from Virginia to Florida. And it works really well. And when Elizabeth recently got her e-trike, I was sad because it didn't look like they were going to both fit. I could take either the motorcycle or the e-trike, but I couldn't fit them both. Well, guess what? I fit them both. There's about 3 inches to spare in the width, and both of these fit in here. How cool is that? So we're able to bring them both back and forth. Now this car has a total towing capacity of 1,000 pounds, which isn't much. And the trailer and the motorcycle are at like 950 pounds, 970 pounds. Now I'm sure several of you will be thinking, well, you got that big van there, why don't you take that? That'll pull that trailer easily. And yes, it will. But here's the thing. The van gets less than half as much gas mileage as the car does, and it's a diesel, so it costs anywhere from 50 cents to $1 more per gallon. So it would cost us several $100s more for a round trip to Florida in that. Also, right now the air conditioner doesn't work in that van, and we do not want to be in Florida without an air conditioner in the vehicle. So as long as we can take the car, we want to do that. But here's what we think happened. The extra weight of the tongue, when I put this on there, depressed the shocks and made the car sink and ride a little bit lower. And when that happened, apparently it pushed the gas tank down against the exhaust pipe, which normally there's about that much gap, but it pressed it down against the exhaust pipe so that the exhaust pipe was rubbing against the gas tank. And you can see here, this is the old gas tank after it was replaced. You can see the hole, the white spot is where it was rubbing, and then right here in the center is a little hole of probably about the size of a pencil that went through there. And that's where the gasoline was just pouring out of there. So the guy looked around, the mechanic looked around, and for a used gas tank, because the gas tank had to be replaced. And it was, like I said, it was a small town, not many strip lots in the area. And he said gas tanks, strip lots don't usually keep them anyway because of the gas in them. They're dangerous. But so we went home. We went to the hotel and spent the night. The next morning, he was actually able to find us a used gas tank, and we were so
oh my goodness,
so pleased because
we were trying to figure.
If we would have had to get a new one, it would have cost considerably more, and who knows how long it would have taken to get it shipped. So
I wanted to be at that graduation.
Oh yeah, we're
goodness.
looking at missing our grandson's graduation. So
and a play that both him and Carly are in. Bruce and Carly are both in it. Oh my goodness.
So we spent, like I said, we spent that first night, and the next day he got it. He actually got it completely fixed by evening. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So we picked up the car in the evening. I got it all loaded back up with the trailer and everything. We spent the second night in the hotel. Next morning, we were ready to go.
Really early. We wanted to get going.
We left.
It was, what, about 9 hours left to get home?
Yeah, we still had a 9-hour drive.
Yeah.
So we left the hotel and we drove about a mile, and all of a sudden the temperature gauge went bing all the way to the top. Oh, great. Well, what in the world does that have to do with it replacing a gas tank? So fortunately, I was close enough that I just turned around and drove a couple of blocks right back to the same mechanic.
Yep.
He saw me drive in again. It's like, now what?
They were great there, but oh yeah.
So he did some checking underneath the hood and discovered that our thermostat was frozen shut. Thermostat wouldn't open. So totally unrelated issue.
Yep.
So he spent another hour or so, hour and a half, replacing the thermostat. And while we were there,
oh, it was the cutest thing. They had this little microscopic kitten. It was so cute. Just wanted, just bugging everybody he possibly could and trying to crawl up into the car. And he was darling. Oh goodness! If I hadn't had to make such a difficult decision about Leo, I'd have been half tempted because they were trying to find a home for him. But no, I had to give up my beloved Leo, and I can't do that again. Mm. But anyway, I can't do that. But also, we got a big kick out of it because there was a chicken. Just
one chicken.
Chicken.
Just wandering around the yard, which it was a garage, mechanic's garage, but it looked like a strip lot. There were junk cars everywhere.
Well, and he had some he was actually selling,
Well, sure.
Yeah.
But there was this one chicken when I first walked into the garage, it was just sleeping there on the floor, and I said, a chicken. And the guy goes, that's our gargoyle.
Well, and the kitten jumped up into the car one time, and Bill had gotten inside to talk to me for a second, and he jumped up and he wanted to go everywhere. And his little old claws would hang on for dear life. And it was so funny. What was it that happened with that chicken that we got the kitten back out of the car?
Finally got the chicken out. Got the kitten out and put him on the ground, and the chicken came over and started pecking at the kitten and chased the kitten away.
It's like not hurting him, just chasing him off. It's like it's a guard chicken.
Guard chicken.
Yeah. I got a kick out of that. And what was nice? I'll just tell you real quick is that this was just a good mechanic, kind of rough-edged garage, and I finally kind of needed the ladies' room. They'd let me just sit in the car. That was fine, but they didn't have a restroom. And but right.
I said, do you have a restroom? He said, we haven't built it yet.
Yeah. So, but right next door, like half a block away probably, was a little gift and flower shop. So I went up there and went back into ladies' world. Oh, they had flowers and a swing on the porch, and went in. They allowed me to use their ladies' room, and then I got to look all around, and I bought a little thing because I felt so glad that they let me let me go in there and do that. And I'll show it to you. It's a really neat mat that I was able to get for our door here, and I like it. But anyway, I was grateful to have that while that work was being done. Just a lady moment here. Okay.
Yeah, so he got the thermostat replaced, and then I said, well, what do I owe you for it? And he says, don't worry about it, no charge. I said, what?
What? Oh, we were
no charge for
gobsmacked.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So I was highly impressed. He was a very young guy, but just really knowledgeable, and apparently he mostly does transmissions, but he does any kind of work on a car. It's called Titan Automotive, and if you're ever in Hazelhurst and you need a mechanic, I highly recommend Titan.
Yeah, Hazelhurst, Georgia. Yeah. And this guy was great. He was honest, and he did really good work.
So finally we got on the road. And
we still have 9 hours to go.
Yeah.
What is it by this time? About noonish or?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
So we drove about a half hour, and all of a sudden we hit absolute gully washing rain, the kind that you should, pull over. But we weren't on the interstate. We were on the back roads with no shoulder. So we're just driving along at 15 miles an hour because we couldn't see anything. It was really unbelievable.
I filmed it. Let me show you.
Yeah. So anyway, we drove through, 20 or 30 minutes of that, and then it rained for the next couple hours, but not so heavy. So we got home again, finally in Virginia, about 9:30 or 10 o'clock.
Yeah, something like
last
that.
night. So it was an ordeal. It should have taken 2 days, and it took 3, but it was just so stressful and so nerve-wracking and so terrifying to think of what could have happened. And I'm absolutely convinced that was only the grace of God and His protection that kept that car from exploding.
Yeah. Just so many things about that whole situation where we see God's hand in it. Literally, even that when we pulled the car over and quickly stopped it, we had a large enough parking lot area right there that great big semi-tow truck that had to come could get up to the car easily. I mean, you know, a lot of Florida roads are just like woods. I mean, there's no shoulders.
You know, if we had discovered this in the middle between two towns, like you said, there's no shoulder, we would have had to park on the road, maybe off a foot, but any more than that, and it drops down. We would have had no services. I wouldn't know where I was to try to call for roadside assistance. But as it was, we discovered the problem in this town. We stopped 1 block from the hotel, 3 blocks from the mechanic shop.
Yeah.
And it's just the timing of all of it was perfect. The place that we stopped was perfect. We just saw God's hand in all of it, not only protecting us, but providing the services that we need to be able to get it done and get back on the road.
And the thing of it is, it's a good little car. You know, that welding job that the guy did is going to keep that from ever rubbing like that again. It's a good little car, and cars have problems with thermostats occasionally going out. You know, but those were just a couple of things that one was just where we didn't realize that the car was being damaged and it got fixed, and the other was just things that happened with the radiator, the thermostat and everything.
One thing that he did when he replaced the gas tank, he welded a bracket onto the exhaust pipe to hold it down further. So now if the car settles, the gas tank won't mash against the exhaust pipe. The exhaust pipe will move down with it. So he eliminated any kind of future problem with that.
Yeah. He seemed to just really know what he was doing with it. So
that was our adventure. That was our terrifying adventure.
Oh, goodness. I'm even grateful for just safety driving with that trailer, you know, and a motorcycle and my e-trike on it in such terribly heavy rain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, and we very carefully, by the way, protected any electrical stuff on the e-trike and made sure the battery was safe in the car.
Yeah.
And you know what? I got to throw in one more thing here real quick. For that battery to be as good and efficient as it is, it's lithium. Like a lot of electric cars nowadays.
And it was in the trunk.
It was in
right on top of the gas tank.
And I got honestly say, I have seen videos where electric cars burn, and it is intense when the batteries burn. And
now, it's not a big lithium battery. It's a small one, but it's still lithium.
Yeah. And it's not like the big lithium batteries in an electric car, but still, even that would have just enhanced the fire. And it's fine. The trike's fine. The motorcycle's fine. But I'm just so grateful. Yeah. Who would have thought? I mean.
So here we are back in Virginia again, and we don't plan to go back to Florida until probably sometime in September.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, last night it was so sweet. It was fairly late when we got home. And I sent a message up the hill, saying, "Hey, we're back and everything." And I get this little Bill is out
up the hill to Barry
Molly's house. Yeah, we're on the same driveway, and Bill was out getting some stuff out of the car, and he goes, "I see a flashlight coming down the hill." Here comes Carly, our granddaughter. Yeah, and she had to come in and got a great big hug and asked how she was doing, and we talked a minute, and she's just so glad to see us, and finally she's just yawning, and I'm like, "Sweetheart, you got to go home. You got to get to bed." So I sent her back up the hill, but it was a nice greeting. Yeah, it was nice.
Well, God is good.
God is faithful all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for watching.
Yep, you guys live simple.
Live free.
You be blessed. Oops, that's your line. Go ahead.
You took my line. Walk into this. You be blessed.
Yes.
And by the grace of God, we'll see you next time.
Oh, absolutely. We love you guys. We will see you soon. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.